Hey guys, welcome back. Another Fight Night interview. This time we are covering NA region, and more specifically, we have our champion today, Teneryx. How are you doing, my man?
I'm pretty good. Thanks for having me here.
I'm glad that you are feeling great, and I'm glad that we're having you here because every single week we seem to have new champions, and it's interesting because we get new faces, we get familiar with the community. Speaking of which, let's talk a little bit less about LOR and what are you doing in real life? Who are you outside of the LOR events, outside of the LOR tournaments?
All right, an international student here on the US. I'm from Argentina, and I came here to play like college basketball. I've been here like for 3 years now, and start playing LOR like this past year on during beta.
Nice. College basketball. It might be a little bit unfamiliar, but how tall are you?
I'm like 6'2", 6'3".
You'll need to explain that to me in centimeters and for the you viewers because I do not know what six
Oh,
two
okay.
is.
It's like 189, 190.
Ooh. I mean, you expect that out of a basketball player, but have you always been in love with basketball or for playing
Yeah,
it?
yeah. I just play since I'm a kid. Like I play since 8, 9 years old.
And how did you arrive to playing LR from basketball? Because basketball is a physical sport, it's
Mhm.
involving real life, and LR is more digital. So, how did you start playing LR?
Because I play like League of Legends. Like when I started playing League of Legends when I was like 14, 15, and a friend of mine showed me the game like as soon as it came out, LOR, and I say, all right, it has the same characters, and I was in love with League lore, so I tried it. And at first I said like I don't I never played a card game before, and I was like, I don't know if this is for me, but I just started playing and I fell in love with it.
You've never played a card game before, not even in joke with when you were a kid?
I mean, yeah, like trading card games. I play some Yu-Gi-Oh games, but I didn't even know how to play. I just like the monsters in the cards, but that's it. I didn't even knew the rules.
And did you play in any other tournaments in LOR or was this one of the first for you?
No, I have been playing since beta, like Duels of Runeterra, the seasonal tournaments. I play like 3 other Fight Nights, um, and yeah, a ton of community tournaments like OLS and the Squeebies tournament.
Nice. I'm glad that you're participating in the tournaments as well, in the grassroots tournaments, because that's what keep us going outside of the seasonals and the Riot events.
Mhm.
Speaking about tournaments, let's talk about our invitational fight night, and more specifically, why people are here. Your decks, because your lineup, I need to say, was quite unique, and the first deck that you decided to bring was Teemo Elusives, Teemo Z. This deck has not been around for a long time, so why bring Teemo Z?
All right, so the idea came after the he was rank one sudden. He
Oh,
was
sudden.
spamming the deck. Yeah, he was spamming the deck on ladder, and I say, why don't give this a try? I played it in the beta before, but I haven't played this deck like for a year now, uh, until finite. So I tried it, and I realized that most of the players weren't running like a ton of elusive blockers, and this deck stomps mid range because you can block their units and they cannot block yours. So like sooner or later you are going to kill them. It's that easy. So just run elusives, burn, and they cannot interact with your strategy.
Did you try to build a list yourself or at least adapt it for what you were expecting in Fight Night, or did you take this list from Sudden?
No, I took the list. I spam it on ladder for a bit to see how was it going, and like I fell in love. Like I fell in love with all the ratios. Like uh, I changed some things and then put them back like as original list because I think it has like 8 cards that means allegiance, right? And I think that's like perfect. And I also know that he like plays the deck for a long time, so he tested it a lot, and the list was actually pretty good.
And you said you spammed it on ladder and you played a bit with the ratios with the cards. What did you try to put in? What did you get out? And why didn't it work?
So first I tried to cut Shusari because I think that card is kind of weird. It seems weird, right? But then a lot of games I came that I felt I need a little bit more damage, like because I think I tried to put in the Windfire Hatchling, the
Mm-hmm.
1/7 mana that buff the whole board, but it felt like too late. I need something turn like 5 6 to finish off the games. So I take back Shusari and then put it back in. Also, I tried removing some of the Nopafies and some of the denies, but then I came to I realized that I needed a ton of way to protect the elusives, and I didn't find a good card besides Twin Disciplines. So I said, okay, I need to protect from the sweeper, so then I and Nobafy have to remain in the deck.
I understand. And what did you expect to counter with this list, or which are the matchups that you love to see with this list on one hand, and on the other hand, which are the matchups that you don't love to see?
Okay, I love to see like all kind of mid-range deck, like Frostbite mid-range, Demacia mid-range, Thresh Nasus type of list, like Viego or Thresh Nasus type of list. And also, I love to see Lee Sin because the Eye of the Dragon cannot block these things. And I hate to see like a ton of sweepers, like FTR decks, Trolls decks, these kind of decks that are loaded with Ice Shards, Avalanche. I hate those things. And like decks that run Shadow Assassin, I guess.
So did you expect to find a lot of mid-range decks going into this fight, and or what did you
Yeah.
expect to see more precisely?
Yeah, I expect to see a ton of Lee Sin, a ton of Viego decks because I saw a lot of people trying the new champions, right? The new champions were coming out, and I was expecting a lot of those decks. So, and those decks, I guess are weak to elusives. So that's what I was expecting. A ton of mid-range decks to counter Lee Sin, like Frostbite mid-range to counter Lee and to kind of counter Viego or Atrocity. And yeah, all those kind of decks were the things I was targeting with this deck.
This list feels kind of similar against something else that I've been playing on ladder, and it is a Fizz list, a Fizz Draven list with a lot
It's
of
Draven, yeah.
elusives. It has the same feeling, but
Mhm.
how does it actually work into Z Sivir or into Action Sivir? Because they run Ghost that can generate an elusive blocker, a crucial one, for example, and they might run the Spirit's Refuge and they can get some HP back. So how do you do into that list?
So the thing that I think is crucial to beat like severe combo decks with this list is you just because they have the Spirit's Refuge, but they usually run one or two only, and they won't draw both of them. So if you just save the Mystic Shot, so when they buff a unit and give the Spirit Refuge, you just Mystic Shot your own unit, and then because they don't have single combats or anything to punish that, and most of them don't run Nova fight, so you are safe to do that. And also the Ghost, they sometimes play as a one-off. Some of them don't play it, but it's just one elusive blocker for one turn. And if you go to a whiteboard and do constant attacks, they just can block one of the blockers, and you can stop the pressure as long as you don't let set level, you just can't block their stuff because the only threat with overwhelm is Rune Runner.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes they might not even run it, or will not even run it. That's an understatement. They might not even draw it, if
Yeah,
you're lucky enough.
yeah.
But enough about this list, and let's look at something that I thought for a long time I wasn't expecting to see anymore, and that is Ashe-LeBlanc. Why did we bring this to the tournament?
Alright, so like I said before, I was expecting a lot of mid range, right? So that's
Mhm.
what I was targeting with elusives. So then I said, okay, if I'm expecting a lot of mid range, like how can I make another deck, or what deck can I bring that has some of the same matchup tables? And I said, all right, the mid range stomper, Ashe-LeBlanc, right? So if they are trying to run like some Demacia mid range atrocity decks, I can control the board easily, and then like I take ownership of the board, and then all their strikes or all their like atrocity style effects that require like the units to have any power, they don't work anymore, right?
Yeah,
So
it
yeah,
makes total sense.
yeah,
I'm
yeah, and
seeing.
also,
Go ahead.
I like the deck because a ton of the decks in the meta rely on quick attack, like severe decks, like action decks. The league sync kick also is countered by, with freezes, so I said, okay, freezes are the way to go.
I do see that you are running the recently buffed card Incisive Tactician. How useful is this card for you for this deck?
So I fell in love with that card. With that card, like before the buff, I really hated. I say there's no point you run this card. I was like literally running shampoo in the deck before that card get buffed. But now that you have the how is it called, the LeBlanc spell mirror image, I think it's called.
Yes.
You have the mirror image with the tactician loop, so you can drop it for 6 mana, and then you can rally again with the LeBlanc spell. So I ran two of them, like because I really want to put pressure on Lee's index. So the turn I freeze the board, I can attack like multiple times, and I think they cannot. They maybe can survive one attack, but not. There's no way they survive two.
All right. And I think Ashe-LeBlanc is one of the kings of the mid-range decks right now because it
Yeah.
counters other mid-range decks, as you said. The freezes are countering most of the board-centric decks. But how do you deal with the action lists in lists because they're not always running Zoe, right? They are also running action, and then they can pull spell shield on their list. What do you do in that situation? Or do you usually reach that situation, or do you finish your opponent before that happens?
Alright, so I didn't play much against the action leasing version, but in my head, the way I will play that out is like you just a mulligan for the trappers on 3, and then you flood the ball with 3/3s and Shetis and other big units, right? So the flaw of the action lead deck is that they are sacrificing 3 Eye of the Dragons because the Dragon version can run 6 of them. So if they don't draw Eye of the Dragon, they don't have a way to stop. Like if you attack, they just need to jump block, but if you rally after, they are just dead. And that deck kind of goes all in with the Lee plan. They don't have much styling tools, so they go all in. If you pop the spell shield with the troll chant and then you freeze the Lee, they spend all their stuff buffing the Lee, and then they have no hand, and they are doomed.
Yeah, and I think what's most important about the Freljord spells in general, the freezes and the troll chants, is they are bird
Yeah.
spells, so
Yeah.
you cannot interact with them as the lead player. Nopifies denies they are useless in that situation.
Yeah, that's also very important. You just break the denies and the no notifies. Don't give value to them, and you're good.
Anything else that you would have expected to encounter outside of the Lee Sin?
Um, I mean, the Shen Sharvan also was kind of a target. Like all these kind of deck that either cannot deal with freezes or cannot deal with elusive. Thresh Nasus is another big one. They hate freezes and they hate elusives because they don't run any elusive blockers. Some other decks, I felt good playing against said Sivir or said Action or that kind of list too. But yeah, those were pretty much the decks I was looking to beat because they were the popular decks at the moment, and it was a new patch, a new mini expansion. So I was expecting people to bring those decks.
Yeah, and I asked you about what this deck loves to see, but what does this deck hate to see? What does this deck hate to
Oh,
play against?
so yeah, this deck hates to play against decks like Draven Ezreal like they just remove all your stuff and you cannot do anything about it. Like straight up, you just lose. This deck also doesn't like to run against aggro decks. Like it's pretty hard to deal against aggro decks because or like aggro decks with a ton of burn. So pirate aggro stuff, discard aggro, like you just in the first few turns they deal like 10 damage and then you are just dead with 2 decimates and an Oxian Fervor. So but I wasn't expecting a ton of that, like because lately those decks are popular maybe in ladder, but in tournaments people don't break those decks much.
Why wouldn't they, for example, bring, because this is a 2 decks format, they know that their opponent is not going to be able to ban anything. If they bring that 2 aggro decks, they're going to go through. Why do you think they still wouldn't play those 2 aggro decks?
Because I think people nowadays with Arrow are scared of Lee's Targon Lee because Lee Sin now is running 6 Eye of the Dragons. Like if they draw 1 or 2 of them, like you just cannot push damage and your burn does nothing because they also run Nova Fight, Deny, and the Dragon Links keeps healing them. So and also like Severe set deck, I think they're weak to aggro, but now people are running like Spirit Refuge with a Severe, they can heal up. Like if they double attack Spirit Refuge, they heal back to 20 and you cannot do anything about it. So I think people are scared of those decks, so they don't bring aggro.
Alright, and did you have, now that we've been discussing about the decks, did you have a smooth sailing in Fight Night? Did you face the matchup that you wanted to face, or did you struggle against some?
Yeah, that was crazy. I faced all the matches I was expecting to see. Like the most unexpected thing, I guess, was a deep on round 1. But the elusive decks did pretty well against deep because I guess they cannot deal with elusives. And the frostbite, even though I think it's unfavorable against deep, I had a pretty good hand and they break, so it was good enough.
Yeah, I mean, Deep sometimes has those awkward hands where they get 2 or 3 big sea monsters in the hand, but no way to discard them. They do not have any play until turn 4-5.
Yeah. Yeah, so you establish a board and then it's too late for them.
Alright, now the things have been set and done, and you actually won the tournament, congratulations, but would you have changed anything to your lineup if you would have gone into the tournament again? Would you have changed any decks or maybe tweak a bit these 2 ones?
I don't think I will change the decks, but tweaking, I will maybe cut some denies from the elusive deck. Maybe 3 is too much. Maybe I shouldn't play 3 of them. And then on the first fight, I think is fine. Maybe cut 1 tactician because I kept drawing both of them. So I say why, but I guess that is just bad luck at the moment. On the moment,
Yeah,
but I think the versions were pretty good.
I can definitely see cutting 1 tactician because you don't want to break, as you said, and because you just mentioned the interaction with the LeBlanc spell. If you mirror image 1 tactician, it's enough to win you the game.
Yeah.
But what are the plans next after winning final? Because of course you're going to get invited into the next week. But do you plan to play in any other tournaments in the weeks to come? Do you have any plans in LR at all?
So yes, today I'm playing the LBR. So I play the LBR for Mafia Esports, and then I just play any tournament that is on the weekends. Like or less, I think I play this past week. I don't think there is one next week, but I play in that tournament every 2 weeks. Then I will be playing on the Fight Night on Friday, and I haven't checked if there is another tournament this weekend. But if there is, probably I will be playing on it. So.
Very nice. Since you're playing into a lot of tournaments that are not necessarily the Fight Night style, right? With just 2 decks, you are playing into a lot of Riot-Lock tournaments. Maybe people would love some tips for those tournaments. Or what's your mentality when you are preparing for a Riot-Lock tournament?
So my mentality is like first pick a deck that you are comfortable with. Like I think that's the most important thing, because if you just go with the trends and you don't actually feel comfortable with the deck, like it will be hard. That is the first thing I think, and the second is think what decks you want to beat and bring other decks with the same positive matchup tables that your main deck, and think what you're going to ban, and like group your decks in a way that you can ban a single weakness of all your three decks, right?
All right. And what are your predictions for the coming weeks, for the coming tournaments? What do you think is going to be popular? What do you think is going to be less popular?
I think popular is going to be Ionia Shurima is going to be the most played vision combination. Like this, I have no doubt about it. Like either Asira Irelia, I think the most popular iteration of that vision combination will be Sivir Action or Sivir Zed. But also, I think there is a new deck that I don't know if it's getting hotfix. The Action Infinite Loop, that kind of deck.
Yeah, the
So I
infinite
think,
combo.
yeah, I think that vision combination is going to be the most popular one. I think Diego decks are rising up. Shurima Shadow Wilds, like Trash Nasus style of decks, I think that's rising up, and I think Lee Sin is going to be like pretty popular. And decks that are falling off, I think, will be things like Twisted Face Swain, maybe Draven Ezreal. I don't think those decks are bad, but I think they are falling off popularity. I don't really know why. I guess don't do pretty well against Lee Sin.
Or maybe people have not been playing them a lot. They are feeling rust, or
Yeah.
they just feel alright, but this isn't the glory days. This is not Rising Tides. There are new cards. Am I really
Mm-hmm.
going to win with this? But one
Yeah.
deck you did not mention is Lurk. Where is Lurk?
Oh look. Uh, I'm pretty biased against that deck because I hate the deck. I don't like to play it. I don't like to play against it. Like I just don't want to see it. But I guess people can play it. I haven't seen it a lot in tournaments, but and in ladder lately, I haven't seen it at all. But I guess people who like it and feel comfortable it are like can play it. But I don't personally like the deck.
Why is that, if I may ask you?
Oh yeah, because I feel like you are playing an Alliance deck that needs to hit Alliance every single attack turn, and like on the first turn as well if you are going to play the 2-drop. So, like I have bad luck with Alliance. Like I always miss it. Like if I'm missing the Wraith color in the Misrace deck that I just played on turn 4. Imagine if I need to hit Alliance like every single turn. Like there's no way. And it feels so bad when you attack on turn 1 with a 1-2. It doesn't get buff. The opponent blocks with a 2-2, and you feel you just lose the game.
Yeah, it's definitely not a nice feeling. Even though the Lurk deck is trying to be as
Mm-hmm.
consistent as possible, they are cutting a lot of cards that are not hitting Lurk themselves. I think they are
Yeah,
only running a few Rite of Negations, and that's about it because they cannot
and
afford anything else.
yeah, and the bonus skewer as well. They
Mm-hmm.
like always. Yeah, yes, but I think the deck, because I think people that are running like 36 lurk cards or 34 lurk cards are running bad cards because they want to hit lurk. Because I think like a ton of cards in that deck are just bad cards, but like because they say lurk in it and you need to hit lurk, you just need to run them.
Yeah, maybe we have that feeling because in the new expansion we've just got a couple of
Mm-hmm.
cards. We don't really have that much support, so the archetype is already pretty tight. You have 30 plus cards that you already need to put in the deck because otherwise you don't hit Lurk consistently. But
Yeah.
maybe as the time progresses, we're going to get more support and maybe find Lurk champions paired with something else because right now it's just Pike Rek'Sai.
Yep. Yeah, I think in coming expansions, if they release new lurk cards and then you have much more options to build the deck, I think it can be pretty good.
Nice, but you mentioned a little bit ago that you are playing for Mafia Esports, so I wanted to ask you who helped you prepare for this tournament, or did the guys help you prepare for the tournament in DPS? You can give them a shout out, it's their moment of glory.
Yeah, so everyone in Mafia, like I can say a few names. I most likely going to forget some people, but like Charlie, Matty 24 Mayo, another hipster like Nolop. So all those guys helped me to prepare for the tournament. Like we scrims before tournaments, we do research about what decks are rising up, and yeah, all the stuff. We practice matchups. What do you think is going to be popular? What do you think is not going to be popular? And yeah, we just prepare for. They helped me prepare for the tournament, and it worked pretty well.
Yeah, you won. It worked pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad that I'm hearing every single time that people have someone that they can usually prepare with. If it's either a team or two or three Scrim Partners, it's important to have someone that you can exchange ideas, exchange opinions.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's pretty important. I think I became a much better LOR player after I joined the team than before, because before I just was playing ladder and wasn't really sharing my opinions with anyone. So I think I was hindering my performance and my improvement in the game just because like I didn't have anyone to talk about the game. But now I think I'm progressing much faster.
And what areas do you think did you progress in?
Because when you share like your thoughts or your point of view with others, they can tell you, no, you are wrong in this aspect because you are not seeing this and this, right? So if you play alone, you may think something is right, and you don't have anyone that like challenge your point of view. So like you won't realize that. But when you are talking constantly with other people about the game, you say, "Oh, maybe you're right. Maybe I should do full mulligan in Draven S for the tribing, right? And maybe I shouldn't keep the ballistic bolt, like some things like that, because clearly no one can play all the decks to a peak level because you only have that so much time. So talking with other people about the game just makes you better overall.
I'm glad to hear it, but we are at the end of this interview and we have a traditional question that we usually ask our participants, and I'm going to ask you as well. If you had to say one thing, only one thing to the viewers that are now watching, to the public that is watching, what would that one be?
I will say have fun playing the game. After all, that is LOR is a game, and the most important thing is having fun. So yeah, I think just have fun at the game. Like if you're interested in tournaments, just go to community. Like just go to Twitter or Reddit, join the community. This game has the best community I have ever seen, like for a video game. So yeah, just join the community, and I think you won't regret it.
Yeah, have fun and join the community because you won't regret
Yeah.
it. Nice words to close this one off. Thank you again for participating in this awesome interview. It has been a pleasure to interview you, and I hope to see you again maybe for another fight night because you're participating in the next one.
Thanks for having me, man. It was it was great. It was
I am
great being here.
I'm glad. But for you guys, this is it for this interview. It's been a pleasure to have Teneryx around here. Stay tuned because there's going to be more interviews to come. Until next time.